sure that greetings everyone, and please make sure that you are muted and your videos are turned off. And we are now starting our APEA's webinar. Next, please. So my name is Erden Chimegultisurung. I'm your moderator today. I'm president and founder of the Mongolian Evaluation Association, also co-leader of the professionalization team of APEA's regional strategy on evaluation, and also a member of the professionalization task force of IOC. Next. As I just mentioned, that please kindly mute your microphone and video during the webinar to prevent some internet bandwidth. And also please put your questions in the chat and I will be moderating. And also you will have some chance to raise your hands during the Q&A session. Next. All right. Also, I have today a privilege to give a brief opening remark. So who is an evaluator? What credentials does she or he have? The certified evaluators do our countries have? If so, what are their credentials? So all these questions already have become familiar and frequent questions to us evaluators. The voluntary organizations for professional evaluation, in other words, VOPEs, we have a very special role in this discussion to lead and to promote, also to develop. And some of the VOPEs have already been in this discussion for more than a decade. For example, Canadian Evaluation Society, Japan Evaluation Society. And today's webinar is not an exception to that, as we have the VOPE, regional VOPE leaders through IOC's professionalization task force coming together. And we have today truly phenomenal speakers and discussants who not only have led this journey on professional certification of evaluation process, but also lessons learned and future plans. So without further ado, I would like to invite our speakers because they have a lot of great things to share. So let me introduce first Ms. Brenda Bukeli, who is a social psychologist with a master's in human resource and knowledge management, boasting over 30 years of rich experience in monitoring and evaluation across Peru, Latin America, and the Caribbean. This experience spans engagements with diverse entities, including public, private, community, and multilateral organizations. Having served in various technical and senior management roles, she has also imparted their knowledge as a postgraduate lecturer on M&E for over 15 years. Her portfolio includes the execution of 20 studies and evaluations and holds the titles of founder of RELAC and Eval Peru, as well as former president of Eval Peru. Additionally, she has contributed as a co-author to a chapter on evaluation in Peru. She specializes in organizational development and coaching, bringing a wealth of expertise to the table. Ms. Natalia Aquila, she is a political scientist specializing in public policies and local development with over 20 years of experience in monitoring and evaluation in Argentina, Latin America, and Caribbean and Africa. She has held various leadership and managerial positions in the public, social, international, intergovernmental, and private sectors. Additionally, she is a consultant for international organizations such as the ILO, UNEP, and UNDP. With over 30 evaluations, including impact results, process evaluation, and advocacy, she regularly publishes on evaluation valuability, institutionalization, and access to public information. She also serves as a postgraduate professor in evaluation at national and international universities. Moreover, she is the founder and former president of Evalue Argentina in 22 and 20, between 2020 to 2022. Okay, welcome our speakers. I think Ms. Brenda Kelly will start with, right? The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chingue. I will start my presentation. Hold on, please. Opa. Okay, let me start with this. Okay, thank you, everybody. Good morning for us, afternoon, evening, all the times we have here. At this moment, I'm representing RELAC, where I am the current general coordinator, and I am going to talk about the professionalization evaluation in this network. RELAC in English is the Monitoring, Evaluation, and Systematization Network of Latin America and the Caribbean. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about RELAC. RELAC is an important, a pivotal player in the region of Latin America and also in the global evaluation ecosystem. And we are based on volunteer time, yeah, from people like us. And we are celebrating this year our 20th anniversary. So it's an important moment that we are living. And currently we have 12 networks that are members, of which 10 are national members or BOPs, like Chingue was mentioning, and 2 are academics. So, and this is what we pursue, our goal. We want to, we lead, contribute, and promote to these different topics, ideas, relationships, concepts, frameworks, anything that brings collective interest for the development of the profession in the Caribbean, Mesoamerica, and South America. Well, this is our recently elected executive committee for this period 24-27. We are just starting this month, and this is our first official presentation. So I also wanted to point at that. And let me tell you now about our approach to professionalization in RELAC. Okay, here we have, in our long years of existence, we have different moments in RELAC, but there is a special one that is, we recognize it as, we call it RELAC 2.0. It's around 2016, 2017, when we had a deep restructuration of our network. From that moment, that is the version that we are currently implementing. And from that moment, we have these 2 institutional objectives, yeah? One that has to do with providing guidance, that is to promote principles, procedures, standards, behavioral criteria for the practice and professionalization. And the other objective has to do with diversity, to encourage, embrace, promote different expressions of plurality and diversity from methods, actors, institutions, yeah, from the regional thinking and epistemologies of the thought. So with that, this is a quick recap of what we have done in RELAC, yeah, counting also from years ago. Since the beginning, definitely the professionalization was one of the priorities that we had. And most of the interventions, the things that we did has to do with training, courses, workshops, different kind of publications, all that. Those were activities were promoted by RELAC. But more recently, we had, since 2016, in RELAC, there was conformed a working group that started working with or preparing or agreeing on some certain evaluation standards for Latin America and the Caribbean. And there is a publication, the most recent version and updated version is from 2021. So this is an important moment, an important outcome from our network, and it has 4 dimensions and 20 quality standards that somehow, well, provides guidance to the practice of evaluation in our region. So this work is continued, yeah, and they are trying to operationalize these standards, yeah. On the other side, we have this other experience coming from 4 BOPEs that we combine our efforts under a peer-to-peer project that is called Professional Certification of Evaluation in Latin America. Natalia is going to tell you more about this experience, but this was also an important moment for this topic of professionalization. And with that experience, then Natalia will also tell you that at least 3 of the members of the 4 that we've been working in that peer-to-peer experience, we joined the professionalization task force that was confirmed by IIOCE in combination with RELAC. So this is something undergoing, and Salah, that is going also to be in this session, is going to tell more about it. So now what is coming? In our plans for the next 3 years, well, this is our inspiration. What we propose is to wave networks create the future of evaluation in Latin America. That's what we ambition for this period that we are starting. And we have these 3 pillars in our work: waving territories, policy, advocacy, and one of them, as you see here, is the professionalization of evaluation, where we seek to strengthen the skills and capacity of the networks and members of RELAC to guarantee an optimal and effective professional performance at the service of equity in the region. At this moment, we are preparing a participatory work plan and strategic plan with the RELAC members. So we don't have specific actions decided, but these are some illustrative activities that we, as the new executive committee, are foreseeing for the under professionalization. Yeah, like for example, create participatory plans to improve networks capacity. We realize that in the MEL approach, there is not too much development under the L, that is about learning. So we want to emphasize also there to promote documentation and dissemination of evaluations and publication. We have under our structure working groups, and we want to dynamize them and promote different kinds of diversity: epistemological, gender, ethnics, generation, and so on. A strengthened relationship with the academia in the region and globally. And as I mentioned to you, 2 of our members are from the academia. One based in Chile, that is Núcleo, and the other one based in Mexico, that is Equity. And collaborate in the development of research agendas on monitoring and evaluation. So those are our plans. I expect to share with you more when we start our road. And well, thank you very much for this space.
Thank you, Brenda. Over to you, Natalia.
Thank you, Chingy. Thank you, Brenda. I'm going to share my screen. I'm very happy to be here this morning. Thank you to Chingy for leading this meeting today, from Randika for hosting us, for coordinating us, and also for thank you to Salah, who is going to give the closing remarks. Many of the people that are part of the IOC Professionalization Task Force are already here today. So some of the things we are going to say, I think they might know, but in any case, I think it's going to be a rich conversation, and I look forward to interact with you over the presentation. I will only take like 10 to 15 minutes, and then we can, of course, discuss and talk about the ideas that we're going to present. As Brenda said, I would like to share with you some learnings that we built together within the Professionalization Certification of Evaluation in LAC project, and trying to build on this, and also trying to highlight a future agenda for the professionalization of evaluation in our region, in Asia Pacific and in Latin America and the Caribbean as well. So I developed the presentation in like 4 parts, nine ideas in 4 parts. I would like to talk a little bit about the context in which we developed the project, the outcomes of the project, the findings from the LAC experience, and as I said, the proposal, a way forward to move together with this important topic in the evaluation agenda nowadays. So the first thing is context, what happened at the time that we developed, think, and implemented this project. Well, first, we know that there are many global debates around evaluation, professionalization, regulation in Asia Pacific, in Eastern Europe, but from our perspective in Latin America, we didn't have that debate installed at the same level. And at the same time, we all know that there is going a lot of pressure in the achievement of the SDGs, and we think that strengthening development of evaluator capacities are key in the SDGs agenda. So also we think that is this particular topic, the evaluation, the certification evaluation topic, it was a good one to think more and to research on, and to come up with a proposal for Latin America. So the project is based on one belief, that is the disconnection that Latin America have to the certification mechanism discussed internationally. That was like our main proposition when we think and develop the project. And we assume that many of the evaluation standards, Brenda mentioned some of them just before, and the quality management procedures that guide the certification of evaluation most of the time are important and not really respond to the state of the conversation in the global south. So building on that, and also recognizing that there is a lack of a common criteria around professionalization of evaluation, we decided to do and to develop the project. Of course, we developed a theory of change, which was, I'm not going to go deep on this because it's like very, very complex and too long, but of course, we are going to share the presentation with you if you would like to go in deep on this. And of course, the P2P support in building this project was big, was a huge support that we received trying to move forward with this agenda. We built the project like in 4 pillars, we can say. Of course, this is one way of thinking around certification or professionalization of evaluation. There are many, many more. But we believe that the way forward, the way that we need to follow was to, first of all, do a literature review. We have this very meaningful conversation around the concepts of certification, competencies, standards, accreditation, certification entities. There is a whole lot of very complex concepts that we need to unpack and try to know them better. Once we did that, we research 4 case studies which give us very insightful things: the International Coaching Federation, the International Advisory Trail, Chile Valora, which is a local experience, and the Guatemala experience here in Latin America. After that, we develop and implement and analyze a regional survey in our region, because for our project, it was very important, and it is very important, to hear the voice of evaluators and the whole community of evaluation in our region. So we didn't want to have the project decoupled from, you know, there's one way where the literature goes and there's another way where the people stands on. So we wanted to hear the voice of evaluators, so we work hard on that. Furthermore, we have like 2 regional workshops to discuss again the findings of the project at the RELAC conference in 2022 and at the Global Evaluation Week last year, 2023. Building on that, we are now always going back to these learnings and trying to document and systematize all the information developed. And of course, this conversation today is going to nurture that path as well. So what are the outcomes of the project, having said that? The first one is there are like 5 key concepts around that we find in the literature review we made. 4 of them that are based or that are built based on people, and 1 of them that are based on institutions. So what we decided is that we call accreditation to all that that ensures the organizations has the capacity to act according to pre-established quality standards. And in the perspective of people, we have 4 other key concepts, which are competencies, competency assessment, certification, and standards. These were like the very basis of our project. No, once we developed the idea of having a very good definition of what were these key concepts, we built on understanding how they developed in reality. So we researched on those 5 case studies, as I said before. And the question that we tried to address when researching was what was more or less successful in terms of developing competencies, certification, accreditation. So what we find is that competencies seem to be a pillar of all the approaches that are around the world. At least is the most important one. In the case of Chile Valora, the enabling certification shows that there's a very strong need that people have to start their work immediately, and the organization respect and dignify the skills. So in the case of Chile Valora, there's a big space for the institution, no? That they give a very big weight to the institution. Of course, in all the experiences, the challenge still is promoting the demand for the certification. We have a very interesting discussion in the project where we need to work demand and offer, but still the demand for the certification is bigger than the offer for certification. And the case that we really value the most, which is Chile Valora, is very interesting because it's a national system that is legal, is nested in a legal and political framework. The other ones that I'm not going to go deep on them are not have not this kind of level of institutionalization. Here, there is a very brief image of what the process of evaluation and certification of competencies is in Chile. As you see, it's very well developed and very well articulated. I'm not going to go deep on this, but we think it's really a very interesting model to build and to know better. After that, after doing the literature review, after trying to learn from the experiences that I mentioned, we also wanted to know what happened with the actors, what the actors were thinking about certification, accreditation, professionalization, all these terms that were mixed and maybe not well defined. So in the first place, we need to say that in LAC, at least in Latin America and the Caribbean, there's a very great difference in terms of how national evaluation systems are developed. And they are very different on size, institutionalization, and also this determines the quality and the depth of the conversation that those countries have regarding evaluation, but more specifically regarding the certification of evaluation. So the consultation tried to address this and try to understand what the actors were thinking. And I'm not going to show all the results of the survey, but I think there are some things that are worth to mention. The first one is that there's a high degree of interest in the possible process of regulation of the evaluation practice with preference for the certification system based on competencies. So this is quite intriguing to me still after many years of doing this survey, because in a way you may not see the conversation around evaluation certification so vivid in our network. Sometimes there are some people that are pushing forward the topic, but it's not like there is a massive need for certification of evaluation. But the survey show that at least when you show all the possible mechanisms around professionalization, our actors prefer the one based on competencies. So 80% of the people consulted consider that it should be carried out by a broad alliance of factors. Now, the thing going forward together it was very present at the time when we developed this survey. Another interesting thing that came up regarding the voice of factors, of evaluators in our region, is that considering the different national realities, as I mentioned before, the idea of feasibility of the initiative is in tension. I think this is a very good learning that we produce in our project, that it's like everyone would like to go the way of professionalization of our profession, but still not all of us believes that this can be done and that this can be possible. So we found a very good willingness to support the going forward of the project and the milestones that we have put ourselves for the project, but still there's an individual interest in accompanying the initiative rather than a conviction that this is possible to make. When we present the quantitative results, as I mentioned, the preference is, sorry, it's in Spanish, but we produce this service in Spanish, but the preference is that that of the system of labor competencies, as I mentioned, and the second one being the certification one, and accreditation is like the one that have the less support, at least in our region. Finally, when we do the qualitative analysis of the consultation, there's of course not many consensus as well. No, we found that there are still dissonant views regarding the possibility of going this way. One of the main critiques that are made in our region, at least to the professionalization initiative, is the possibility of adding too much rigidity, to the practice of evaluation and to the practice of our profession in our region. So over-regulation, to me, and still is another learning that we find about the project. There's a concern, at least in our actors in the region, about over-regulations. Of course, there's some positive feedback and positive aspects that can be highlighted as well, like going forward, we'll need multi-stakeholder coordination, adequate parameterization based on conceptual complexity, which I mentioned before. Of course, moving forward on certification needs broad participation, consultation with international stakeholders, and of course, it will imply strengthening more national evaluation networks and systems. But the main learning, I think, that we don't still have a consensus, and as Brenda said before, I think it's one of our roles in RELAC now, trying to build and trying to establish that conversation in a more consensual way. Finally, what happened when we went to the regional workshops and discuss these ideas. I would like to highlight only, I'm just finishing, 5 ideas that I think are the most interesting ones that came out from the regional workshops. The first one is that our local actors, our regional actors, were very keen on deepening the analysis of needs of evaluation organization. I think they ask us to go deeper and analyze again what is the real need of certification within evaluation organizations in our country. The second one is the one that had a lot of consensus, was develop a pilot regulation experience. So not trying to go all over the place, but just trying to have one local experience and try to learn and try to see how it works in reality. The other idea that came up from our regional workshop was try to observe, no, a specific experience, a good one, trying to learn in deep on one specific experience. The fourth one was trying to build a tentative model of competencies from the analysis of calls for evaluators. This is a lot of work, and of course we need to establish a very detailed work plan to handle this. And of course, trying to still build on our working groups in the field of RELAC and trying to discuss again these topics. And just to wrap up and trying to finish, what would practices and lessons learned can we derive from the project, both from the research made at the private sector and at the public sphere? In terms of the private sector, we believe that there's a bigger understanding of the discipline and what professional needs to practice in the practice, being a little bit redundant. Of course, the systematic and continuous updating approach of competencies that the private sector has is something that we need to have in mind. This idea of evaluate and re-evaluate competencies over time is also a lesson learned that we need to pull for our side. The high commitment to results, of course, working as well on the human side. I'm sure we do have that in the evaluation community globally. And trying to pilot test, as I said before, and see what works different. What we learned from the public sphere, from the cases I mentioned before, well, the first one is the need of a profound alignment of labor competencies with the demand of the labor market and promoted the articulation with training offer. This is easy to say, but it's very difficult to put in practice. But still, we believe there's a work to be done there. Of course, any certification or professionalization mechanism that we propose needs to be linked with the public system, with laws and policies. They may need time, but still there's an effort that needs to be made. It needs to be based on broad and participatory moments. We don't think as a narrow process. In contrary, we think that we are going to go further if we make this process as participatory as possible. Of course, we need to recognize the previous learning and experience that are also without training, not of certification process are based necessary on training, and recognize the competencies of existing training programs and review them and adapt them to the standards as well. And the last one, create demand for certification. Still, a certification is not very popular in the terms that we can at least think the persons that are more linked to the necessity of certification. But still, we need to, if we believe in this, we need to create, sustain, and strengthen the demand for certification. The way forward, what opportunities we see in LAC, and some ideas as well for discussion today with you that are giving us this precious time to learn from you as well. I think we may have a common LAC APEA agenda. I think we need to build it, but I'm sure we are going to find common ground and common objectives. I'm not sure if AP have the same priorities as LAC, but as I mentioned, we think in our region, at least, the competencies approach has been identified as the more consensual professionalization mechanism for LAC. So maybe discuss this with you this morning, this afternoon, will be interesting to see if the same happens in AP. The second idea is rather built on existing professionalization experience. One wish that we have in our region is to mobilize resources and develop a joint pilot experience. This can be another idea. Maybe it's a costly one, but maybe we also can find together resources to pilot a competencies professionalization mechanism. Of course, continue and keep on building on RELAC and APEA working groups for some advice. I think we need to be very close always to our base, to our ground in our regions. So maybe trying to interact more often in spheres and in our area, like we're doing today here, is going to be good for mainstreaming and enhancing the idea of professionalization. And finally, keep on participating at the YOSE Professionalization Task Force. We are having a very good meetings there. We are a very high committed group of people that believes in this. And I think it's the key, that being all together in the IOSC Professionalization Task Force is good for the future of the professionalization of evaluation. So thank you very much. I hope not bother you, not be too boring today. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks very much, Natalia, for very rich, not only about your journey, also having some practical next steps and initiatives. I always like to have some of these next steps, like actionable things. Yeah. Now I would like to introduce Professor Keiko Nishino, who was former Vice President of APEA and also a co-leader of the professionalization team of Asia Pacific Regional Evaluation Strategy. Floor is yours, Professor Keiko.
Hello, good evening. It's quite like 10:30 at night in Japan. So good morning to you for Argentina, for the Latin American colleagues. So I'm trying to keep myself up. Anyway, thank you very much, the Brenda and also Natalia, for the excellent presentation. Well, it was really eye-opening for me and also all the participants tonight, and to learn about how the Latin America's experience in professionalization. So then also I like to congratulate that the LAC is a 20th anniversary this year, which is excellent because APEA was born in 2012, so it's only about 10 years old. So you are the sort of the big sister for for us. Anyway, so then I was also, I was very much impressed with your presentation about sort of certification of the professionalization, because that is very, very sort of, in a way, rather difficult items to certify the professionalization, because it's not like doctor or the professor at academics and so on, and because there's no sort of professionalizing sort of standards to certify, and which is not easy. But I was very much impressed in Latin America. You really attempted to try to certify the professionalization, which is excellent. And also, I was very much impressed with that you're trying, because Latin America, to me also, that is very, very diversified countries with the rich cultures and different cultures, and then also the races, ethnicism, and then indigenous population. And also the Asia Pacific region is also the same, but because of that, it's not easy to really to build a consensus in the very participatory and also the very democratic way. So your organization is also very much trying to do the very participatory way, which is also that impressed me. So let me just share that what we have done in APEA in Asia Pacific region. So as you can see, in 2020, the APEA under the leadership of Asela Palgampitia, whom I think you know very well, with his leadership, in 2020, the regional evaluation strategy was launched with 8 themes. So among the 8 themes, you can see the professionalization is one. And then also the developing the partnership, the evaluation capacity, and 3, strengthening community ownership in evaluation, and 4, promoting young and emerging evaluators, and 5, engaging parliamentarians for demand and use of evaluation, and 6, promoting national evaluation policies and systems, and 7, using evaluation to report on the SDGs, and 8, strengthening VOPES, the volunteer organization for professional evaluators. So these 8 themes, under these 8 themes, I am in the professionalizing evaluation team, and also I am a part of the developing partnership evaluation capacity. So at the beginning, what we did is trying to do the survey, as I think you did the same. And so under that time, we had the 12 VOPEs and 7 young and emerging the emerging chapters have participated to the survey. So this is the Asia Pacific region with the Japan is here, and then Sri Lanka is here, and India, Australia, and so on. Mongolia is here. Then with the survey, we came up with the some 3 steps: the quick wins and short-term activities and long-term initiatives. And the quick wins is like initiate a discussion or the blogs and articles, use and disseminate APEA's knowledge and products, and slogans, mottos, standards. Those are the quick wins, and we could do in 2021 and so on. And the short-term activities is a series of webinars at the country level or the country level consultations and training sessions for the young and emerging evaluators. And the workshop, we have so many workshops to use assessment tools. And the long-term initiatives is a strategy for country-level professionalization, and evaluation standards, code of ethics for the evaluation practices, university courses on M&E, and the monitoring program for YEEs. Then in the 2021, what we did was the professionalization of evaluation. We had 3, in 2021, we had 3 products. The professionalization of evaluation, competency framework for evaluators, and then the pathway for assessment of competencies of the evaluators, and the case of career development in monitoring and evaluation. So those are demanded by the VOPEs and the young and emerging evaluators. Therefore, we produced those 3 documents. Then where do we stand now? Is at this moment, we are here. We are now trying to do producing the evaluation standards with the leadership of Tim G. And then the code of ethics for the evaluation practice was done last year. And then we also trying to develop the courses, online courses of monitoring evaluation. And then in Sri Lanka, the university course on M1E is already launched. And the mentoring program for YE is ongoing. So the current product is the report. This is also 21. And then the report on the online consultation or professionalization of evaluation. And also the 2022, the status of professionalization of evaluation in Asia Pacific region. This is a survey report. And then the latest product is a code of ethics for evaluation in the Asia Pacific region. So all the products are accessed here with the Asia Pacific. It is under this the publications, and so we'll be happy to share with our products with all the people in Latin America. And then, as Natalia mentioned in her last slides, we like to cooperate with you in the very future. We'll keep continuing. So this is at the end of my presentation. Back to you, Jimji.
Thank you very much, Professor Keiko, for giving a very quick run through what APEA is doing in terms of the professionalization of evaluation efforts. And even though it's been only a decade, I think APEA has done also great works and then really leading and promoting the local VOPEs, national VOPEs, to do to have the ripple effect at the national level, encouraging to produce these foundational documents in evaluation. So now we have the Q&A session, and we have about, I think, 10 minutes, because we would like to be punctual to finish. So I'd like to open the floor for the question, and please raise your hand or also check the chat. Okay, so we have one question from Awar Ponji. What was the level of engagement with the academia, and what's their likely role in the professionalization process? What are the likely challenges, and how do you intend to address these challenges? Maybe Brenda or Dalia.
Maybe Brenda, I spoke too much this morning.
Yeah, no, I read a question from Anwar, and I was, when we did this project, when we were in our research, or at the beginning, we realized that the professionalization and all the discussion around competency shouldn't only come from the academia. Of course, academia is key, is important, and should go together, but there's also a lot of space to recognize the capacities that the evaluators gain from their practice. Yeah, so that's also part of the professionalization. How do we recognize and give some value to those skills acquired from the practice? So my question is, of course, yes, we need to bring the academia into this effort, but not without missing this other part of the discussion. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Brenda. Ada, you have raised your hand, please.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate APEA for organizing this event. Very, very timely, very relevant. And for RELAC and all the other VOPEs for their presentation and participation. I would like to make a comment and possibly then a proposal. I think in one of the presentations of RELAC, I'm not sure it was Brenda or Natalia, it was mentioned that the two things that caught my attention. One is that the standards and the discussion are not aligned with the current discussions in the Global South. So the standards and possibly the competencies, I don't know. And regarding to that, I think that the discussion on professionalization is very key to actually shed light about how the discussion on the thinking on the Global South vis-a-vis the Global North should go. Because questions arise like, do we want professional evaluators just to remain in the Global South, just to remain open and capable of discussing on the issues of the Global South, or we want professionals that can actually participate in a global dialogue about evaluations, where the knowledge interaction takes place instead of dividing knowledge of the South vis-a-vis the North. I think there is the possibility of the South influencing the knowledge of the North, provided that this interaction, this global, this knowledge interaction takes place. If we just divide on what is the thinking of the South vis-a-vis other ways of thinking, we are not creating the knowledge interaction. So I think, again, that the professionalization has this role, which is a very exciting, but as well a very responsible role that can actually shed light on how this knowledge interaction can take place. So that was my comment, and I think that to me it's important to start creating this global dialogue. And we have with us today Jean Quenel, who is the lead of the professionalization initiatives that IDEAS is just starting. So we will be happy to liaise with APEA and to liaise with RELAC. Actually, there is an email that I have to respond to Brenda on this initiative, so we can foster a dialogue on that will be more global, more international, leading to evaluation professionals that can have a voice on their regions, but can actually raise their voice beyond the regions and can also become international evaluators. Thank you so, so much. And again, congratulations.
Thank you, Ada, for always your very thought-provoking and challenging comments. Wherever you participate, I really like your always comments. Thanks very much. And we have one question in the chat from Sokanathan.
Chingue, sorry, I would like to reply.
For sure. Oh, yeah,
comment,
sorry, Brenda.
for this
Yeah,
comment. Sorry. Yes, Ada, thank you very much for giving an important switch to the discussion. It's another perspective. I like that about if we, the evaluator from Latin America, want only to remain in Latin America and be isolated from the rest. This is very important perspective. And about Jan Serge, yeah, definitely Jan Serge is an important piece of this history behind RELAC, as well as Ada. I should mention this. But part of the challenges that we have, the different networks, is about also to document the history that we have behind the other experiences. And Jan Serge mentioned me in the chat. There is a previous experience from RELAC, from its origin, because professionalization has been always a priority. But I think, Jan Serge, please open the microphone if you can. Tell a little bit more about what you mentioned. The effort is around the program of mastering evaluation in Costa Rica, the one that was formed with the participation of RELAC in the past. Could you please tell a little bit more about it? Well, can search. Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
I don't see my screen because the screen is being shared, and so I just have to see 4 of you. Well, thank you for inviting me to say a few words. Fundamentally, the professionalization has been at the heart of many organizations, and the only one that really has moved forth, and I must say I was a bit behind it too, was a Canadian one. And when we launched it, we felt that we were throwing ourselves off the cliff into the sea because we didn't really know how the reaction would be. And but it has moved on very well, and it has a solid basis, and it is a beacon towards professionalization. The universities in Canada have also joined in with many programs in monitoring and evaluation, but still the link between the professionalization recognition and the university degree is not there yet. Someone that does a master's in evaluation, well, should be eligible to be an accredited evaluator, especially if you got a doctorate. So, but the link is not there yet. But it's because it was propelled mostly by consultants, professionals, and also propelled with some support of government. But the government have been hesitant to include in the job description the requirement to have the certification. And that's the next step we're still working on. And of course, I followed all the different movement. At the time, RELAC, at the beginning, the first year, was really moving forth and was a leader in the professionalization and quote unquote going towards some form of certification. But eventually people change and what I call volunteer organizations, and this theme goes off. But the IDS has given itself the role to try to reactivate a willingness and a systematic approach to a certification. So over the next few years, as part of our strategic plan, we will be propelling an effort, an international effort, in collaboration with all the different entities. The advantage that IDEA has is because it is a single organization based on individual with some institutional membership, and hence we can come up with some sort of a consensus faster than IOCE, for example, because I was at the beginning of IOCE, and it takes a lot of dialogue to promote. But everyone has to think through at national level what, of course, professionalization and certification. But I think IDS probably has a role as a beacon to provide a basic approach and some concept, and summarize that and promote that, and working closely with the professionalization task force of IOCE, which I commit myself to become a member and to work closely with you. That is all what I wish to say. I'm taking too much time. Thank you for the invitation. Goodbye.
Thanks very much, John. Sir, it was indeed very precious to hear your comments as well. So unfortunately, we have come to our end, and there's a couple of questions, but apologies about that. And I would like to now give the floor to Dr. Salah Masoufi, who is researcher and evaluator, also a very active member of Moroccan Evaluation Association and task force member of IOC. Floor is yours, Salah.
Thank you, Chingy. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. As you said, I am a EOC Professional Task Force co-chair. I want just to share with you that professionalization is one of the strategic priorities of our task force. I was very impressed by the presentation and about the experience in Iraq. I think Natalia and Brenda, as well as Professor Keto, present a very important thing. I want just to highlight some 2 or 3 points. The result above the survey conduct showed that there is that competencies are a pillar, but there is no real need for certification. This is I think it's good, interesting conclusion that need more investigation. Also about the lesson learned, I I note that we should update the competencies of evaluator and align them to the need and to the public demand. As you know, with the emergence and abundance of data, evaluators should update their competencies as well as the certification. And I want to conclude that I think that certification it's very good steps for the institutionalization of evaluation, but we need to update the competencies and also certification to respond to new method, new technology, to enhance and leverage the use of big data and artificial intelligence. But I think the first step is to do more research, more survey, to investigate and the real world. And I like the word used by Natalia. We need to hear evaluator as well as public sector or government are all stakeholders to have a real situation and how evaluator acts in the field. And then we can go through certification. I think it's a good diagnosis. It's a first step to go forward for the professionalization of evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you, Salah. Okay, so now we come to the end. Could you go to next slide, please? So we'll have just a group picture. So please, everyone, open your camera if possible and smile, and production team will take a shot. Thank you.
Maduka Ahmed, over to you. Please let them
Yes.
know.
Okay, everyone, please open your camera. Okay, we have 2 slides. Keep smile, please. Okay. Second slide. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. And just the last word that we'd like to invite you to the G-Local event is coming up the first week of June. So on 5th of June, we have a APEA webinar titled Strengthening Indigenous Evaluation in Nepal Towards Transformational Change. So please register and join us. And the next slide is on that we would like to encourage you to submit also the paper for our APEA Asia Pacific Evaluation Journal, Asia Pacific Journal of Evaluation. So thanks very much, everyone, for joining today's webinar, and stay tuned. Oh, one last one. So we have this Manila Declaration calling for your signature and to commit to promote and advance evaluation in your work and in your organization at the national level. So please scan the QR and join us to commit to this declaration. Thanks everyone for joining, and good day, good night.
Thank you, Chingy.
Thank you.
Thank you.